Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. As always, shout out to the 19. I have been having a fantastic week, as you can imagine, if you have been following this channel for a while, as my birds, my Eagles, are now Super Bowl champs. I finally got around to doing a video of it, but first of all, for Fever fans, because I know I have a lot of you, if you are watching this, I appreciate it, and I'm going to actually tie this into Caitlin Clark a little bit. It's not as wild as you think. Something I've been thinking about for a while, and it ramped up with the Eagles playoffs, so it kind of got it back into the front of my brain, and that is how much disrespect and quote unquote, I hate using quotes, but hate, because everyone loves to use that word, that Jalen Hurts has received from the media, similar to what Caitlin Clark has received, and the national sports media attacks on the Philly fans, just as the Fever fans have experienced all season long. National sports media hates Philly, okay? And Fever fans, you should take a step back if you've jumped on that bandwagon and think, hey, you know what? We've been portrayed incorrectly, shall we say, by the sports media ever since Caitlin Clark got to the WNBA. So maybe the Philly fans aren't exactly what the national sports media tells us that they are. And look, I'm not going to excuse the idiots, but I'm also not going to, as the media has done with Fever fans, say that's the fan base. Any group of people, heck, you get 5 people together, you're most likely going to have at least one, is going to have idiots in it. But the national sports media likes to tell you that that is the fan base, which is absolutely absurd. So we're not going to have that. And I'm going to play, if I can find them, just a couple of clips for you. This is a clip of before the NFC Championship game. The Eagles and Commanders were playing each other. The Redskins, everyone. Their name is the Redskins. Before the game, in the parking lot, tailgating, and this is, again, what fandom does. They got together. They know they have a common enemy that they both hate even more than each other. So here, they broke out, folks. There's a little camaraderie going on with this hateful Philly fan base and the Commanders fan base. It's always nice. It's always nice to be able to find common ground. And I just got one more that I thought was really cool. This was after the game. They flooded out into the streets, as anyone in a big city with a major sports championship does, okay? The fact that there was some damage, you get idiots who are going to take advantage of this situation, and it happens in all cities. I shouldn't say remember, but I know that Chicago almost was burned to the ground when the Bulls won some championships. So let's not pretend that some damage after a national championship when you get all these people out there is a Philly thing. But this was, well, take a look. This was out there. Let's see what happens here with the Philly fandom. Yes, that's right. They decided to crowd surf this man in a wheelchair so that he could see this sea of humanity. I love that shot by the cameraman, by the way. He could see this sea of humanity of Philly fans together out there celebrating and get a real view of what's going on, because when he's down in his chair and in a crowd that big, all he's seeing is people's backs and fronts and their jackets and jerseys. He's not getting to really truly appreciate what's going on and see it. So these fans got together and they decided to, what's one of the words they love to use now? Uplift. They uplifted him. and he got to experience this in a way he otherwise wouldn't, which was really cool as well. But all right, I want to talk about the game just for a minute, and we're going to get into some other stuff with the Philly fans and Caitlin Clark and Jalen Hurts and all that. But this was a game absolutely dominated by the Eagles. It was a season dominated by the Eagles. Anyone who's not the national sports media and follow pro football knew that this was going to be without the blatant ref help, because after everything that happened leading into this, there was no way, although I was worried on that that first ridiculous call against A.J. Brown, there was no way that the officials were going to get, with all the scrutiny going on, going to be able to do what they've done in previous games for the Chiefs. And as you saw, when they play a real team, they struggle if they don't get those key calls in key moments. Were there missed calls? Yeah, there were a few on both sides, but it was not one-sided, and there was nothing that absolutely destroyed either team's chances. So, hey, when you get that, you get a dominant Eagles win against the Chiefs. And now the media is backtracking. Now they're saying, well, you know what? The Chiefs really aren't that good. They were all talking about three-peating going into this game, but after they got absolutely obliterated, because let's be clear, those were 2 late touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions for the Chiefs. And that bomb that Patrick Mahomes thrown to make his stats look good, so when people look back in 5 years, they can spin that he had a good game, that was thrown right after the Eagles put all their second stringers in the game. Okay, this game was over, folks. It was what, 37-0, 40-6 late in the fourth. The Chiefs didn't get over midfield in their first 9 possessions. I think it was somewhere toward the end of the third quarter before they got into Eagles territory. So yeah, this was a game absolutely dominated from start to finish. Iowa native and classmate of Caitlin Clark, Cooper DeJean, returned an interception for a touchdown, put the Eagles up 17-0, and it was pretty much over at that point. And by the way, and I didn't pull it up. Oh man, I forgot. I was, because I wasn't sure if I was even going to mention it at draft time. There was a lot going on, and I had a tweet about it. You know, Cooper DeJean wasn't going to be able to be a cornerback in the NFL. Well, guess what? Him starting, I think, game 5 really changed that defense around with what they could do, having him play in the slot. And PFF, you can go it's at PFF, I think is their Twitter handle if you want to go there, because it's a recent post. He was given the highest grade from them of any cornerback in the NFL. Man, should have been in the Pro Bowl. So shout out to him as well, because he also had some doubters for sure. One thing I wanted to address, and I have some stuff up because it was kind of funny. So one more thing I want to address about the fans. It's a funny one. Chiefs fans who are Swift fans, don't come at me. I'm not actually going after Taylor. I'm going after some of the media, because there were some idiots with big platforms like that simp Dave Portnoy who wants to marry Taylor Swift, talking about Philly fans being scumbags because they booed Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl and all that, because Eagles fans travel better than anybody in any team in the world with their fan base. It was 80 they had 80% of the fans at the Super Bowl. The only team I know that's close, Fever fans are close. They're probably second with how they travel. But they don't travel, right? They're kind of everywhere. But anyway, so there was a lot of that nasty stuff. Oh, how could they do this? This is horrible. Why would you boo Okay, Taylor Swift is a lifelong Eagles fan. Okay? She's a lifelong Eagles fan who switched up to the hated Chiefs, who just beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, for some overrated soy boy. Yes, she's going to get booed. That's normal fandom. Get a grip. Get a grip. Stop overreacting. Stop the snowflake BS. I'll give you a couple of things real quick that you can see. See this? Taylor Swift on Gold Rush t-shirt lyrics debate. I love the band Eagles, but guys, come on. I'm from Philly. Of course, it's the team. And there she is in an Eagles jersey. And yes, we've got that here as well. Eagles jersey, performing in an Eagles jersey. Okay? So can you understand why the Eagles fandom might boo her when they put her up on the screen? Let's stop being crazy. All right. Man, let me tell you also real quick, shout out to my pops who would have absolutely loved this team. So glad he got to see the 2017 team win the Super Bowl. And sports teams bring families, friends, and entire communities together. Okay, so I know in the grand scheme of things, a lot of people say, oh, it's just a game. It's not that important. But anyone who's gone to school where they've had a top team, especially if they hadn't for a while, or they're a huge fan of a professional team and it's been lifelong, maybe their parents were fans or their grandparents were fans, and that kind of fandom and passion gets passed down. But when they're winning, it's a different vibe. When you're losing, you commiserate, absolutely. When you're winning, and it's a group of players you embrace, and those players embrace the fans, there's nothing like it. There are winning teams we all enjoy. But special teams like that, so rare. When you get that locker room culture right, sound familiar, Fever fans? A team that truly gets along and plays and sacrifices for each other, a team that embraces and appreciates its fan base, that is on a completely different level. It is a completely different level. And I can tell you as an Eagles fan, Eagles fandom is a completely different level. And for those of you who have been around a while, right, you're older than 12, you probably noticed it's a little different out there in general. A lot of people aren't that pleasant. It's amazing how many people I'll walk by where there's no one else even around, or go, in a door and they're coming out. They don't even make eye contact, right? Not a lot of smiling faces, hellos, you're welcomes, thank yous, and all. Man, I tell you what, it's different when I'm wearing Eagles gear. When I have Eagles merch on, it is amazing the conversations that get I strike up, or that people strike up with me, I should say, when I'm wearing Eagles gear, that you get to have that you would not have otherwise. You just simply wouldn't. So that is what's really cool as well. And, I don't want to get into it too much. Well, a little bit. All right, a little bit here. Right? Like, so you had stuff like this. Win or lose. This was back in September. I think it was after their second loss or whatever. Win or lose tonight, the Eagles showed they're the same team as 2023. Howie Roseman overpaid for a running back and fooled the fans into believing in them. No team with Nick Sirianni as the head coach will make a run in the playoffs. Speaking of the running back as Saquon Barkley, something Nick Wright did it too. He went out and all this nonsense when it happened that they overpaid and it was a stupid decision and Saquon Barkley's not that good. Then he rushed for over 2,000 yards and he set a record for season, over 2,400 yards, broke Terrell Davis's record. It's a season, so it's a number that includes the playoffs. Obviously, when TD did it, they also went all the way to the Super Bowl. More games, of course, but still set that record. Absolutely phenomenal. Now those same media people trying to rewrite history and be like, oh, well, Jalen Hurts isn't that good. It's only because of Saquon Barkley. You had this from Greenberg, who's saying the same stuff now when the Eagles picked Jalen Hurts. Hate the pick. So many places he might have been interesting. This is not one of them. Don't get it at all. So I think that's all the clips I have about that. But that has been constant, and that's when I really started thinking about Caitlin Clark, especially as this ramped up for the playoffs. And every time the Eagles played, it was, they can't win because the other quarterback's going to win, right? Nick Wright said, I think the beginning of the season, he's like, I don't even know if Jalen Hurts is a top 15 quarterback, even though there are 32 teams in the league. But he might not be top 15, and on and on. And Jalen Hurts can't beat this quarterback, and Jalen Hurts can't beat that quarterback. Sound familiar? Caitlin Clark. All the same stuff in the media, dealing with, Angel Reese's Rookie of the Year. How about Gino? And others said this as well. She's not built for the physicality. She's not quick enough. Reality is coming. She can only shoot threes. She can't create her own shot. She hasn't won a championship. She needs a screen to get her shot off. She can't get to the basket. And so on, and so on, and so on. Right? So, Jalen Hurts. Some of the stuff the media said. He should enter the draft as a running back. He can't win a Super Bowl. He's not that good. He can't beat the big AFC quarterbacks. He can't win without Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley had his worst game of the season as a runner in the Super Bowl. That's the one thing the Chiefs did well. Barkley had 25 carries for 57 yards. The game was won by the arm of Jalen. Well, offensively, the game was won by the arm of Jalen Hurts. The defense is out of this world without a doubt. But Jalen was 17 of 22, okay, for 221 yards. That's 10 yards per pass attempt. That's an MVP number. He had one bad play. That was the interception. But if you run it back and look at the end zone view, he got hit as he was throwing. He couldn't step in and get his arm to follow through. And that's why that ball fluttered and came up short. So he was absolutely phenomenal. And all we heard going into this is how bad he was. And by the way, he got there in 22 without Saquon Barkley. 4 years in the league, fifth, but his rookie year, only played a little. 4 years as a starter, 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl win and an MVP, and both games he outplayed Jalen Hurts. We had Cam Newton, that clown in a pimp hat, not recently talking about how, well, Jalen Hurts wouldn't get there if he was in the AFC, where you've got Joe Burrow and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Holmes. Hey, Cam, listen up, buddy. In the regular season, Jalen Hurts is 14-1 against the AFC. He's beaten Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes. Now, if you want to include the Super Bowls, he's 15-2 against the AFC, having beaten all those guys. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes even when they lost, throwing for over 300 yards, setting a Super Bowl quarterback record, rushing for 70, which he broke this year with 72. In those 17 games, which is basically a season, right? 17 games. He's thrown for 4,100 plus yards, and he had 31 touchdowns. Beat Mahomes twice. Super Bowl MVP. But again, same stuff, man. Same stuff that Caitlin Clark has been dealing with. Same BS, same absolute crap. I do want to play one thing, if y'all don't mind, just because it's really cool. Indulge me here for 10 seconds. This play you're going to see a great tackle, and then you're going to see a celebration where he's making a motion with an axe. Jeremiah Trotter was a long-time middle linebacker for the Eagles, one of the greats, fan favorite, okay? This number 54, same number, same name on the back, just added junior. His rookie year, same franchise, in the Super Bowl, makes this great tackle, and then does his dad's celebration with the axe chop after, which, oh yeah, there it is, same name, folks. If you're an Eagles fan, that just gives you goosebumps. Absolutely amazing. But this was such a dominating performance, so much fun to watch. And if you have a team that gets this far, appreciate and enjoy every moment of it, because you know what? It seems like, oh, well, we're going to get back there because we're so good. And you'd be surprised how many times it just does not happen. And I ask, if you've gotten this far and you are a Fever fan, Caitlin Clark fan, if you've bought into the whole Philly fans are the worst, take a step back for a second and think about the narrative of the Fever fan base when Caitlin Clark arrived, the narrative of the Caitlin Clark fan base. And you know how little truth there is in that they will pick out these few fools and they'll say that's the fan base. Media narrative versus reality in sports media is absolutely wild at times. Absolutely wild. But man, this was so much fun. I'm going to leave it there. I don't want to keep rattling. I really do appreciate you checking this out. This went way too long. If anyone's still watching, thank you so much. Let me know your thoughts on the game, but also if you are a diehard fan of a team beside the Fever, let me know who that is. I mean, hey, it might be somebody I hate and we can talk trash, but I'm going to leave it there. Like, comment, subscribe. I will talk to you later. Go Birds.